Trigonometry 2, finding a side. Trigonometry is all about finding sides and angles of right angle triangles. Before we can do that, we need to label everything on the triangle. This is the angle that we're talking about at the moment. This is the hypotenuse side. It's the opposite one to the right angle. It's always diagonal. This is the side that's opposite to the angle, and this is the adjacent side. It's the one next to the angle. We're going to be using 3 buttons on your calculator. Don't worry too much about what they mean at the moment, just make sure that you can use them properly. Sine, cos and tan. Now to check you can use them correctly, type in sine 56 equals. You should get out 0.82903 followed by that big long number. Cos 24 equals. Again you should end up with 0.91354 etc. Tan 41 equals, and you should end up with 0.869. Right, there are 6 formulas which help us find the sides. Here's one of them. The opposite side is the sine of the angle times by the hypotenuse. If we look at this triangle here, we're going to work out what x is equal to. This is the angle that we're looking at the moment. The hypotenuse side is always opposite to the right angle. The opposite side is always opposite to the angle we're looking at the moment. And the adjacent side is next to the angle we're looking at the moment. We start off by writing out the formula. Opposite equals sine of the angle times the hypotenuse. Now we're looking for the opposite sides. This is going to help us find out what x is equal to. Let's fill in all the numbers. The angle is 41, so it's going to be the sine of 41 times the hypotenuse, which is 23. Now if I type in sine 41 into my calculator, I get out 0.656 times 23. And 0.656 times 23 equals 15.1. So x, the opposite side, is 15.1. Let's look at another formula. To find the adjacent side, we use the cos of the angle times by the hypotenuse. This is another one of the 6 formulas, and we can use it to work out what y is equal to in this triangle. Let's label all the sides. This is the angle we're looking at the moment. The hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle. The opposite side is always opposite to the angle we're looking at the moment. And the adjacent side is next to the angle we're looking at the moment. We're trying to find out what y is equal to, and that's the adjacent side. So start off by writing out the formula. Adjacent is the cos of the angle times the hypotenuse. Fill in your numbers. The angle is 52, so we're looking at the cos of 52 times 46. Now if I type in cos 52, I end up with 0.616 on my calculator times 46. And that's equal to 28.3. So on this triangle, the adjacent side is 28.3. A third formula out of the 6, to work out the hypotenuse side, we can do the opposite divided by the sine of the angle. We're going to use that to work out what z is equal to on this triangle. If I label everything, this is the angle we're looking at the moment. This is the hypotenuse side, opposite to the right angle, diagonal. This is the side opposite to the angle. And the adjacent side is next to the angle. Now we want z, which is the hypotenuse. Let's write out the formula. The hypotenuse is equal to the opposite side divided by the sine of the angle. Fill in all the numbers. The hypotenuse is 32 divided by sine of 48. The sine of 48 is 0.743. So we're doing 32 divided by 0.743, and that's equal to 43.1. So on this triangle, the hypotenuse, z, equals 43.1. Now, there are 6 formulas altogether. How do I know which one to use? Here are all 6 of the formulas. There's 2 to find out the opposite side, 2 to find out the adjacent side, and 2 to find out the hypotenuse side. Let's look at this example. As always, we start off by labelling everything. This is the angle we're looking at the moment. This is the hypotenuse side, the diagonal one, opposite to the right angle. This is the opposite side, that's x, that's what we're trying to find out. And this is the adjacent side. Right, so we're looking for x, the opposite side. So it's definitely going to be one of these two formulas. Now, what do I know? Do I know the hypotenuse? No, I don't. Do I know the adjacent? Yes, I do. So I'm going to be using this formula. Write out the formula. Opposite is tan of the angle times the adjacent. Fill in the numbers. The angle is 37, the adjacent 26. Tan 37 equals 0.754 times 26, and that's equal to 43.1. So on this triangle, the opposite side x equals 43.1. Let's look at another example. Again, we've got the 6 formulas that we used to find out sides back, and we're working out y on this triangle. Firstly, let's label everything. This is the angle we're looking at the moment. This is the hypotenuse side, the diagonal one, opposite the right angle. This is the opposite side, opposite to the angle. And this is the adjacent side, next to the angle. Now, I want y, which is the adjacent side. So it's going to be one of these two, because they both work out the adjacent. And what else do I know? I know the opposite side, and I don't know the hypotenuse. So I'm going to be using this formula. Start off by writing out the formula. Adjacent is the opposite divided by the tan of the angle. Fill in my numbers. The opposite side is 61, the angle is 47. Tan 47 is 1.072, and 61 divided by 1.072 is 56.9. So on this triangle, y, the adjacent side, is 56.9. Third example. Here are the 6 formulas again, and here's our triangle. We're going to work out z. So let's start off by labelling everything. This is the angle we're looking at the moment. The hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle. The opposite side is opposite to the actual angle we're looking at. And the adjacent side is next to the angle we're looking at. Now, we want the hypotenuse. So we're going to be choosing from these 2 formulas. And what else do I know? I know the adjacent side, but I don't know the opposite side. So I'm going to use this one. Start off by writing out the formulas. The hypotenuse is the adjacent over the tan of the angle. Fill in all the numbers. The adjacent side is 73, divided by the tan of 54. Now tan of 54 is 1.376, and 73 divided by 1.376 equals 53.1. So in this one, z, the hypotenuse, is 53.1.